Hello crafty friends, I'm coming at you with a really quick video tutorial today to talk about another part of the afternoon tea in the garden setting that I made, and that was the butterfly decor piece. And as you can see, we are using some stains today. I have them all over my fingers. But this is a really fun little piece to make just for a teacup, decor piece to add a little bit of fun. And this is the one that I did for the release, and it went with the pink Dragonfly, if you'll remember. And so in the last tutorial, I remade the Dragonfly, and if you remember, I made it to fit a different place setting, and we used the new prize ribbon blue and paired it with a little bit of one of my favorites, peeled paint, and some crushed olive to make this lovely blue dragonfly, or perspective moth is the actual name of the die. So if you're looking for the name of this die, it's perspective moth. But now that I wanted to add the, teacup decor, I picked a teacup that would go with my other place setting, and so it is blue. And so we're going to make a blue and green prize ribbon blue little decor setting for our teacup. Now we used the 3D butterfly Framelit Impresslit. So what it's doing is it's impressing the butterfly and all of that wonderful 3D texture detail, and then it's cutting it out. All right, and so this is an Impresslit because it's impressing and it's cutting, and so that's why it's called Impresslit. So the 3D butterfly, which was part of the, I believe, Chapter 2 release for 2021 from Tim Holtz Sizzix, is what we're going to be using, and it's really easy to get it to sit on the edge. All you have to do is cut the butterfly and then just cut a little section out of its middle, and then you'll just press it on. I like to kind of put the little wings up and just let it sit there, and it looks like it's just kind of perched on the edge of your teacup. So let's talk about how to make that. Now you can see mine matches my teacup, and so I think it would be fun to make some to match different teacups. I have a teacup collection and all different colors and things like that, so I think it would be really fun to go through and just make a bunch of different colors. How did this one end up matching so well? Well, actually, this was just one of those pieces that you make and you don't really like, and so you set it aside. And that's what this piece ended up being. But it really didn't matter that I didn't like what was underneath, because the colors worked well. And so then when I cut it, it was perfect. So you can also see that I have color on the back, because if it's sitting, and especially if the wings are up a little bit, you want to be sure that both sides are pleasing. And you might notice that there's a little bit of gold detail along there. And that's because I had gold that was on the edges of things. And remember, I told you we added some silver to this one, but I had added on this one, it's a little bit hard to see, but I had added some gold on this. It's called antiqued bronze, and this is called the brushed pewter for the silver. So to get the little bit of gold touch on here, I used an antique bronze distress crayon, and all I did was go all along it and then just let it dry. And it just sits right on top there. All right, and so that brings in just that little bit of gold detail. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to get started so that we have something pretty to put on the side of this lovely blue teacup to match our blue set of china. I told you before, we are going to be using the prize ribbon peeled paint and the crushed olive. So I have a piece of distress white heavy stock that I have cut into 4 pieces. The 8.5 by 11 cuts into 4 pieces, 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I have a piece in here. Now this will cut 2 of the Impresslits, because if you look, you can see how it fits perfectly right there. All right. The body is going to be in the center, and the wings are going to be on the outsides. What I did was I went through and I took a little of my crushed olive and I put it on the outside. All right. And then some of that peeled paint on the outside. And then down the center where the body is, I went ahead and added the prize ribbon. You want to dry that a little bit because I really wanted that deep blue to soak in. And then I went through and I added some of my water and I dried it. And what I ended up with, and if it starts getting a little dark and you think maybe a little muddy and you want the outsides to be a little less dark, you can go in, tap some of that out with your Inky Binky and see how that lightens it up just a little bit. Now you're going to want to do that on one side and then you want to turn it over and do it on the other side so that when you cut your butterfly, you are going to end up with a piece that has color on both sides. Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be something beautiful. I'm looking at this, I'm like, I hate it. All right, it didn't turn out the way I wanted. It doesn't matter. You're really not going to see those things once you get everything done. Okay, because remember, this is 3D, and so what I'm going to have to do is, once I've got this dry, I'm going to take my water mister and I'm going to mist it once, and then I'm going to put the side I like the most towards the blade. I'll close it. I'm going to run it through. Now I use a Vagabond. So I have this base platform. I don't have the shim for the Thinlit. You don't want that. You want just the platform. Then you put your one 3D Impresslit or Texture Fade embossing folder, whichever one you're using. This is the same as a Texture Fade embossing folder. It just has that added, remember, blade. And then one cutting pad. And that is what you would run through your die cut machine. And you want to run it through 3 times. So I try and remember the rule 3 to 1. Okay, so I have one platform, one Impresslit, one cutting pad, and I run it through 3 times for 3D. 3 to 1 rule. This is nice and it has some body to it, but I wanted it to have a little bit more, and also because it was going to be on the side of my teacup, I wanted it to have a little bit of shine, if you will. And one of my favorite things, I'm addicted to this, is I love the Distress Resist spray. Now, this can be used for so many things, but my favorite thing is not to use it as resist, but to use it as a kind of a shiny sealer. And so I spray it on there and then you let it dry. If you're impatient, you can go ahead and get out your heat tool and kind of dry that a little bit, but it dries very, very quickly either way. All right, and then once it's dry, you do want to flip it over and you will want to spray the back of this as well. Look at all that beautiful shine. It's marvelous. I really, really love resist spray. Okay. Now, something to remember, you will have to do the back of this as well, but something that you need to remember when you're done with this, that the nozzle tends to clog. Okay. And so you can either keep on hand a whole bunch of extras, or you can simply not just wipe this, but sometimes it will get clogged inside here. And so it's best to take this apart, go into the bathroom, and go ahead and just rinse the whole thing out. Make sure you spray water all the way through it so you get it completely clean, and then go ahead and put it back in. If you forget to do that and it does get clogged, you can soak it if it hasn't been clogged for too long. But another thing that I do is that when I finish with, and I just finished with this, so that's why I have it right here. When I finish with a spray stain or something like that, this is the same sprayer. And so I just kind of set it aside and I can rinse this out and I can use these as extra sprayers and then just throw the bottle away. So that's just a little tip from me when you finish up with something that has a spray nozzle on it, save it. Okay, so what you should end up with is you're going to end up with one of these with both sides have that resist spray on it, and it is going to give it a little bit more body even than it had before. Now we're not quite done, because remember we used the antique bronze to go on the raised areas and bring out some of that detail. But with this one, if you remember, I was using the silver. So I pulled out my brushed pewter distress crayon, and I'll show you. All I did with the gold one is just go right around those raised areas, and see how it starts to bring out some of that detail just on the raised areas. And don't rub it in, just let it sit on top and bring out some of the beauty there of this Impresslit. Now you've lost some of the detail, and that's really okay. I just want a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of shine. There we go. Okay. So there we have a little bit of silver on there. You could put a little bit more on the body if you want. Okay, now we need to get it so that it will sit on the edge of the cup. So let's give that a try. And if we want to see how nicely that goes with that, how fun is that? Oh goodness, I love it. All right, so we're going to take, and I'm going to just bend those wings up the way I would want them. And I want it to sit about there. So I'm going to cut a little bit right where those wings come together. So I'm going to fold it like this. Now I'm going to take my snips, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut. Okay, now I can leave it like that and see if it will fit on there. My other cup, it was a little too thick and it didn't want to sit on there without me cutting a little more away. So see, it doesn't like it because do you see the edge of the cup is a little thicker than that little slit. So what I did was take my scissors and I went in and just very gently cut away a little bit more, just a little bit more, and then fold up those wings, put it on the edge, and open it up a little bit. And there you go. You have a little bit of a decor piece for the edge of your teacup, and it goes just beautifully with the place setting that we made the last time. So how simple is that to make some tea table decor that matches your place settings and your china? So I just think that's so much fun. All right. There you go. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really, really want you to know how much I appreciate all of your support and the kind words that you have left on my Instagram, the Tim Holtz Facebook Addicts page, on my blog and things like that. It really means so, so much to me. And your support is just overwhelming to me. And I want to thank you for that.